Hello, beautiful people. How's everyone? I am so sorry that I'm late. My tablet, my iPad would actually let me go live, but my computer wouldn't, so I do apologize for coming on late and trying to figure this all out. But I wanted to, first and foremost, before I start anything, I wanted to thank Dr. Will. I honestly want to tell you that he's doing this for you and for me. But when I say for you and for me, it's about that what I'm going to talk about today is more about health. And what he is doing is he wants you to look at every aspect of your life in order to be successful. It's just not about making the money. It's not about just running the business. It's about your overall well-being too. And I want to thank him for giving me this opportunity to speak to everyone. But more importantly, I want you guys to embrace what I'm about to talk about. My topic is called Sleep Poses Your Life. And first and foremost, why would you listen to me? And I've been in sleep medicine for approximately, almost 15 years. And I've taught it for 6 years. And I go in the community. I do a lot of community work and to educate the community about the importance of sleep. But the title is Sleep Poses Your Life, and it's based on the 6 dimensions of wellness. And that's founded by the National Wellness Institute in 1977 by Dr. I think it's Hetler. And the 6 are physical, occupational, intellectual, social, emotional, and spiritual. And if you think about if that's wellness, how does sleep actually affect every aspect of that life? And it does. Sleep affects every aspect of your life. If you don't get enough sleep, you can't concentrate. It's a lot. We're going to go over that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. So I'm a registered polysomnographer technologist. Yes, a mouthful. I'm also a registered sleep technologist. And I also taught at the university. I'm a former adjunct faculty at the University of Alabama, Birmingham at Alabama at Birmingham, UAB. I currently still work there. And I've also done about over 8,000 studies. So I've seen the effects of sleep. One of the things I've found is when you get older, of course, your brain waves diminish. But when you get older, I saw that people who are not active, their brain waves really diminish. And when that happens, your body doesn't detox the way it needs to. So one of the things I do want to share before I get started, just stay active. If it's nothing more than reading, traveling, when you get older, just do something that you enjoy so your brain can just keep doing what it needs to do so it can remain active. I believe that everything in life begins and ends with sleep. Everything. We come into this world and we leave this world. And everything in between is life. So I want to talk to you about the things we're going to talk about this week is part 2. This was 2 parts. Part 1, I want to define the wellness, and I want you to be able to define wellness and the 6 dimensions of wellness. I want you to cite the stages of sleep and one of the important processes that happen during sleep. I also want you to be able to illustrate how sleep affects your life personally. It's so important that you are paying attention to your life and to your children's life. And I'll go a little bit into how it affects our kids. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand when it comes to our children is that our children actually need to go to bed late and sleep late. That's the way their body is designed. That's why if you put a kid in the bed at 9, they may not actually go to sleep to 10 or 11. And then when they wake up, they're exhausted. And you need to remember that, especially on the weekends. Let them sleep in. Let them sleep in if they want to. Don't call them lazy, because I was growing up, it was like, get your butt out of bed. You still got things to do. They're exhausted. So just remember that. We'll talk a little bit more about that in part 2. And then I want you also to be able to describe the effects that the sleep loss has on you. And I do have a printout, a workbook that I want to give you guys. I'm going to see if Dr. Will approve that. It's part 1 and part 2, so you guys can actually do some work along the way. Now, when I talked about wellness, the 6th dimension of wellness, we said it was physical, occupational, intelligence. It was also emotional and spiritual and social. children go to bed late and sleep late. I share that with my group of single. Exactly. And a lot of times, Kimberly, what happens is, especially I know in our community, because we consider that to be lazy in the Black community, that we are just told that we're lazy. But it's so important that they understand that, especially when their kids are off, just let them go ahead and sleep in, because they need that. One of the 6th dimension of wellness, I have the page, and I'm going to show this. This will be part of the workbook, and it'll give you the instructions how to use it. But you're going to use the tenets that go with sleep wellness, and you're going to just circle. You're going to decide between 0 to 10 which one of these in every section of your life, how you're affected. And I know for me, like for my physical, I'm not really, it says physical is, it's better to consume foods and beverages that enhance good health rather than those which impair it. And it's better to be physically fit than out of shape. Okay, Dr. Well, I'll post it. My physical is like 5, really, and that's pretty sad. And if it's at 5, then I need to decide, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Let me get my computer on so I can see if I can get this posted. Randall, can I get my charger?
Where is it?
In the office. Good morning. Good morning. So I want to talk about the importance of sleep. As we stated earlier, sleep affects every aspect of our lives. And what we don't understand is when we don't sleep, what happens is our body does not detox. Our body is supposed to do its natural process. And when we don't get enough sleep, it's unable to. There are certain stages of sleep that you must achieve for certain things to happen in your life and during your sleep, so you can wake up refreshed. So, yes, Kimberly, sleep is so important. So, thank you guys. Thank you, Orlando. So what I wanted to talk about is what happens in each stage of sleep. And I'm getting my other computer together so I can go ahead and post the file. Now, stages of sleep, there are actually 4 stages of sleep. And there's stage N1, there's stage N2, there's stage N3, and there's stage REM. Now, the reason it's N is because it's non-REM. That's why they call it that. There is no stage 4. Some people used to be many moons ago, but they changed that several years ago. So if you see any reports out there and people are talking about stage 4, excuse me guys, gotta plug in. There we go. If they're talking about stage 4, that's an old report, but sleep hasn't changed that much. We're only like 50 years old, so we're still learning. But it's like in our stage N1 that's that first stage of sleep. Have anybody ever noticed how you may jerk before you go to sleep? Anybody notice that? Does anybody jerk before they go to sleep? I'm asking. Good morning, precious. How are you, beautiful? Well, that's a normal occurrence. Jerking before you go to sleep. Muscle twitching. That's normal. Also, one thing that's normal, most people don't understand. Oh, great, Kimberly. It's a normal process. Another thing that's normal that a lot of people don't know is between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. and 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. you get sleepy. That's your process, a normal process within your body. That's your body just adjusting to what it needs to. Don't think that, okay, oh my God, I'm always tired around this time. You're supposed to be. But, I'll say but, and, I'll say and. If it's at the point that you actually are like dozing off and you're not able to wake up at all, you need to check your diet, your medications, and also go to the doctor. Maybe you have some other condition like sleep apnea. Because you should not go to sleep, or you shouldn't be at the point that you can't function. Being sleepy is one thing, but being at the point that you can't function, that's a whole nother subject. So you may have to change your diet. I had to stop eating bread. I couldn't take a long trip. Now you go on a long trip and you want to go to a fast food restaurant and you want to just stop and grab something and keep going. I don't eat fast food anymore anyway, but when I did, I couldn't eat a sandwich. Even if I wanted to go like to Jimmy John's or something, I can't eat a sandwich because I would be knocked out and I couldn't drive. So I figured it out. It was bread that was doing it to me. So I don't eat bread anymore. You know, you can have a condition with sleep apnea where you're not getting enough sleep because you're not able to breathe and you're not able to get oxygen. And I'll go into those next week. I mean, in 2 weeks. Now, in stage N2, that's the onset of sleep. That's when people can't wake you up. That, you know, it's almost like your surroundings. You're not quite sure where you are in your surroundings. You lost surroundings. Also, your breathing, your heart rate is regular. Your temperature drops. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. Am I frozen? Uh-oh. Is that better? Kimberly, let me know if I come back. Oh, I hate that. Okay, anybody, can you guys still hear me? Okay, let's see. Can I get something from you guys? Let me know if you're able to see me. Okay, awesome, Dr. Will. Thank you so much. Okay, now let's go into N3, stage N3. And a lot happens in N3, and a lot of people don't get it. And other people, thank you, Adrian, I appreciate that. Your blood pressure drops, your breathing becomes slower, and your muscles are relaxed. That's the same thing in N2 and N3. Now, this is the part that a lot of people don't understand. When you get older, N3 decreases. But what I have found is that patients who are very active, I've had a 90-year-old patient that's brainwaves are like a teenager, and I've had a 55-year-old brainwaves that were totally diminished due to drug and alcohol abuse. So it's all about your lifestyle. So just remember that. But in N3, what happens is your growth hormone is just secreted at that time. At that point, you either are growing or you need it for your muscles. Now, see, that's the important part. That's why you got to get your sleep. That's why a lot of older people, they don't sleep long enough, or they're getting so much pain. It's different reasons why people are not sleeping, but you're not getting that. You need that N3. You need to get in that stage of sleep so your muscles will stay, and your skin, women, beautiful skin will stay because you're able to produce your growth hormone, and it secretes at that time, and that's when you need that stage N3. And then you go into REM. Now, it doesn't happen that way. You're like 1, 2, 3 REM, 1, 2, 3 REM. It doesn't. Actually, what happens in a sleep study, they're awake. They go in N1, N2, N3, N2. They arouse, and then they go into REM. It's amazing to watch. And I know when they're going to, they're about to go into REM. They just arouse, and then their eyes change, and yes, you need your sleep for beautiful skin. Most definitely, Kimberly. And it's amazing to see. When you go in the REM, most people understand that's your dream stage. What happens when you dream? You can act out. That's why your body paralyzes. Your muscles are paralyzed so you won't act out. You don't want to. And we do have patients that do. The most severe case I've ever seen was a young man in his 50s who was, from the age of infancy to 18, was abused by his mother. And every night he would kill his mother in his sleep. He would take a knife and he would stab her and he would strangle her. And this, we saw it on video, and he did it several times. And he was killing his mother in his sleep. And he was asleep, he was not awake. So if that's called REM behavior disorder, and you do have people that experience that, you have soldiers that experience that REM behavior disorder, and there is a treatment for that. So when you're in REM, that's where you dream, and that's where your brain is active. That's why you see sometimes people's eyes are going like this. They're darting back and forth because they're in the dream stage. So you got all that happening at the same time. And it also supports your daytime performance. That's why you got to get into that stage. The studies have been done with rats that when you don't get into REM, you eventually die. You have to have REM. Now, you do have people who REM is suppressed. The REM is suppressed because they do have psychological issues. So the medication will suppress it, but they still go into REM a little bit. So you got to have the REM. So you need the REM, and it also brings energy to your body and your brain. So your body is detoxing. The brain, even the brain, the memory, you need that to clear your memory. So I'm doing a little layman's, but I think it's best to do that way. So just know how essential it is for you to get into every stage of sleep. And I do not, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, I do not recommend you have any electronic devices in your room. We are toxic. It's toxic. The electromagnetic forces that are around us, toxic. When I have a patient that has a phone in their room, in their bed, I can't read their brainwaves. So you can't tell me that that phone is not interfering with something in your life when you don't have the electrodes on. So it's something to think about, and we'll go over that a little bit more. And let me see, I wanted to do this file. Let me see if I can get this file done. So how does it actually affect you? Well, I'm talking to you, I'm going to try to do this so you guys can get your forms if you want to get them. It affects your memory, right? How many hours do you recommend a day or night? I have different numbers. It's, to be honest with you, it's what's best for your body. Is her name Margaret? What's her, Thatcher? She was the Prime Minister of England. She actually only needed 4 hours of sleep, and she functioned very well, and she woke up refreshed. I had a fisherman. That's what it was. He was a fisherman, and they worked 2 hours on, 2 hours of sleep, 2 hours on, 2 hours of sleep. And actually, what happened with him during those 2 hours, he achieved every stage of sleep and woke up refreshed and stayed up for 2 hours and went back to sleep. His body adjusted to that. Not everyone can do that. So you got to find out what's best for you. Some people need 7, some people need 8, some people need 9. But anything more than 9, that's excessive. That's oversleeping. And a lot of times that's a sign of depression too. But you need to figure out what's right for you. Now, a way to figure that out, I know most of us don't take vacations, but we got some time off. When you're off, like 3 or more days, because if you're sleep deprived, that first day is just going to be, yeah, I know, Dr. Will, I know you're 4 hours because I see your post. Who's up? Who's working? So you need to find out if you're when you wake up, if you're refreshed. Now you got the 3 days. First day you're going to probably be sleep deprived. You're going to be sleeping over. That second day, now no alarms, nothing to wake you up. Just try to sleep as long as you can. Wake up and see how you feel. Second day, see how you feel and see how many hours you slept. If you slept 6 hours and you woke up refreshed, then that's what you need. I need like 7 hours to feel refreshed. If I'm working night shift, which I still do, I usually get between 4 to 6 hours. It depends on what's going on. So 4 to 6 hours. Then on the weekend, I may sleep. So you need at least 10 hours. Yeah, you want to be able to get what you need, because if you are not refreshed, that means your body didn't get to do what it needs to do at night. So you got to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And I got a few more things to do before we get off of here. Now, I want to talk about how does it pose your life. Okay, physically, what does it do to you physically? Your memory, right? That could be, you forgetting. The simple thing about forgetting your keys is one thing, but just that foggy brain, you don't want that. If you've heard reports that if you don't sleep, it's like being intoxicated, it actually is. One of the things I do at the university is research. And one of the most interesting research studies we currently do is the effects of sleep on a Parkinson's patient with a brain stimulator. If you're not aware, the brain stimulator is a little device that they put in the chest that goes up the neck into the back into the brain. And what it does when you turn it on, it actually helps the patients not have any tremors, and they're able to walk. It's almost like they're normal again. And I say normal based on what normal is considered by medicine. So when the brain stimulator is on, there's no tremors. They're able to walk without hesitation. And once you turn it off, you see a whole different story. And what's happened a lot of times is I had a patient, he came in, he was fine. He walked in, sat down, I took care of him. He didn't know if the brain stimulator was on or off because we don't let them know. And then he started his tremors. And he got in the bed, and he had to get up to go to the restroom, I had to go get him, and he could not get out of the bed. He could not walk to the bathroom by himself. He couldn't make it to the toilet by himself. He couldn't get off, get in, I had to make sure he was steady, so I had to stay there with him. I had to walk him all the way to the bed, put him in the bed, and then cover him up. He went from walking on his own to not. The same symptoms that a Parkinson patient has are the symptoms that a sleep-deprived person can have. When I say that, I mean you can have tremors. You can start having restless legs. Restless legs is when you're awake. When your legs start just twitching and you don't understand, they just won't stop twitching and you get this achy feeling. Same thing. You got the tremors. Some people just jerk sometimes and it's just uncontrollable because they're sleep deprived. You also can have the risk of falling because your cognitive functions are off, and then your coordination is off because you're not having enough sleep. And it also affects you with your sex physically. Think about it. It does. For men, it really is a problem. It actually decreases the testosterone. So you just need to be paying attention to what you're doing with your life. Your weight gain. Some of people having problems losing weight because they don't sleep enough. Because what happens is your hunger increases, and you're not able to go to sleep, or not. Well, actually, when you're not sleeping, your hunger increases. What happens? You eat more, and also the gene with that also affects you, so you don't burn the fat that you need to burn. So it increases your weight. You got your skin. We talked about that earlier, how it affects your skin. And you've seen people with the bags under their eyes, and the skin just seems to be just wrinkled because they're not getting enough sleep. The same effect as smoking. Depression, because you can't sleep, and that's what happens a lot of time. People can't sleep, and then they get depressed, and then they're upset because they can't sleep. And one of the things I want to tell you, if you can't sleep, get out of the bed. If you can't sleep after 20 minutes of being in the bed, get out of the bed. Don't turn on all the lights. And we'll go over that just a few minutes ago, so I know you guys have to go. Risk of death. Exactly. Oh, it explains a lot. You have to tell me about that. Is that iffy? I think it is. Tell me about that. Wow, this explains a lot. Also, safety to other people, because you're not totally there. Your judgment, problem solving, all of that, your creativity, it affects every aspect of that. And you got inflammation because your body can't detox the way it needs to. Slow reaction, as I stated before. Risk of high blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure, you really need to get a sleep study, because it could affect you. Because if your heart's not doing what it needs to do while you're awake, just think about what happens when you sleep. Because a lot of times you'll find that a lot of people die in the middle of the night, near the end, before 6 o'clock, because that's that last stage of REM. And that's where your heartbeat is irregular, your breathing is irregular. And I've actually found, I had a couple of patients that had to have a pacemaker right the next day after their sleep study, because they only had a heart block during REM sleep. That's where their heart block was. So their heart was blocked during that time when everything is irregular, and they had to go get a pacemaker. So you just have to be proactive when it comes to. That's why I use the 6 dimensions of wellness, because I want you to be proactive. Because where I come from, I've been in the field, I've been in medicine for 30 years. It's all about the disease, treatments, and the disorders. It's not about preventive medicine. It's not about wellness. So I want you to consider the wellness part of it. Now, I'm going to let you go shortly, but I'm going to post this, and I have not posted because I'm yakety. But I have this little bedtime ritual infogram, and I call it my RRS. And what it is for you to start considering. This is how I'm going to challenge you. Had sleep challenges, had many of the symptoms you explained and thought they were isolated, disconnected to sleep. Oh, awesome. That's good. Now I need you to go get a sleep study. Find a place that you can go and have an overnight study, and just rule it out. It's painless, but rule it out, especially if you got some other conditions. I'm glad that happened. I'm so happy I helped somebody today. Now, when it comes to your bedtime, I think you should divide it up. You got usually 2 hours before you go to bed. One of the things I want to tell you, very important, most people forget this. Sleep is affected by light and night, and light and dark, right? Light and dark. Okay, you got the light and you got the darkness. So light tells your body, oh, I have to wake up. That's why if you don't have blackened curtains and you work day shift like I do, or night shift like I do, I'm going to wake up quicker because I see that light. So light wakes you up, darkness puts you to sleep. Guess what? When you get off work and you work day shift and it's 4:30, put your sunglasses on. You'll say, well, there's not that much sun out. Put your sunglasses on. You put your sunglasses on so your body can start winding down. Winding down. When you come in the house, don't turn every light on. You got to start winding down. The body has to say, okay, it's starting to get dark. I need to start winding down. So start winding down. Now with this is, the end with this, I usually say an hour to 2 hours you start. And the first 20 to 40 minutes, you start getting ready. I call it your next day. You start planning your day, you prepare your lunch, you pack your bag, you get your clothes out and get them ready, and make sure you have your lights dim. The second part of it, the next 20 to 40 minutes, you need to do your personal hygiene and your pre-relaxation. And I say pre-relaxation because you're letting your body know it's time to wind down. Turn off all your devices, lower your thermostat. We sleep better when it's cool. So lower your thermostat, do some light stretching if you need to, which is very helpful. Shower and bathe if you want to, brush your teeth, and get you some tea or something that will help you unwind. The last 20 to 40 minutes, I recommend what we call relaxation, what I call relaxation. And make sure your lights are still dim. You can journal, meditate, pray, drink your tea, do your visualization, aromatherapy, and just start unwinding. Again, take your electronic devices out of the room. I had a single young lady who said, I need my device. I need it. I need to be able to have my phone. If I live by myself, someone breaks in, I want to be able to call the police. Put it in your bathroom. Because guess what? If somebody breaks in, you hear them, you lock the door. You got the door locked. You run into the bathroom. That's 2 doors they have to get through, and you can still call the police. But don't put it in your room. Take your electronic devices out of your room. If you can, take your television out of your room, because you're not a lawyer. When you're watching Law and Order and you wake up and you think you've solved the case, you're not the lawyer. So turn off the television. It's not good to sleep with the television because the bright blue lights actually stimulate you. Same thing with your tablet. That's why a lot of the tablets now are coming up with, I think it's nighttime or something like that. So you can start reading your devices at night instead of having a book. And I wanted to tell you guys also that the bedroom is for 3 things. People always smile when I say that. It's 3 S's. It's to sleep, it's to suit up, and it's to have sex. Those are the 3 things you should be doing in your bedroom. You're going to sleep, you're going to suit up, which is to get dressed, and you're going to have sex. And if those things, well, hopefully all those things are happening if you're into it, are happening, that's good. But if you have a television, you have dogs, cats, kids, they're disrupting your sleep. And you really need to think about how you can make it happen. So I'm going to challenge you this. I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to challenge this for you. This is my challenge. I'm going to post this onto this workbook so you guys can look at it. But my challenge is for you to figure out what your routine's going to be. When we come back, I want you to tell me what you figured out you're going to do for that 1 hour or 2 hours before you go to bed. When I was growing up, and I'll leave you with this, remember when we were younger? I know when I'm from St. Louis, and when we were told to go to bed, you went to bed. But you had to get ready for bed. So I had to put my pajamas on my bed. I had to run my bath water, take my bath, and I would put my pajamas on and I'd get into bed. Well, my sister liked to read, so she would read before she went to bed. But the point is, I had a ritual. I had a routine. I had a schedule. And we get grown, and we figure we don't need that anymore. Wrong. You need to have a schedule. Figure it out. Have one for your kids. Have one for your parents if you're a caregiver. And I know sometimes especially a caregiver struggles because I'm also a geriatric scholar, so I understand the struggle of having to be a caregiver for a parent, and I help people with that too. So I'm going to leave you with that challenge. I want you to figure out your routine, your schedule, your ritual. What are you going to do? And so the next time we come and we meet, I want you to let me know what you're doing. Any questions? Anybody have any questions before I leave you? And I do apologize for coming on late. Any questions? Can you figure out where you may be? I thought the noise in the background was helping me to go to sleep. You can do white noise, not the television, because you have the bright lights. But if you can get a white noise machine, they make those, not from your phone. I wouldn't recommend it. If you're going to use it from your phone, if you could put it in your bathroom that it's not in the room with you, then yes, and if you can still hear it. But yes, white noise does help you go to sleep, but not the television, because what happens is it disrupts your sleep, just like alcohol does. You know, it'll put you to sleep, but it'll wake you back up, because the same thing with nicotine. It'll, you know, you'll get satisfied. You'll see a smoker that, you know, the same thing. They'll smoke before they go to bed, and they wake up because the nicotine is out of the system. They got to wake up to smoke again. So with the alcohol, what happens, it puts you to sleep, and then boom, you wake up. So, and also, if anybody's out there stressing, having a lot of stress, and you're waking up about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you just really can't go back to sleep, you might want to get your stress hormone checked, your cortisol levels, because a lot of times what happens is it's supposed to decrease, but it increases for some people who are always stressed. If you're like me, I'm from St. Louis, and if you heard about the situation in Ferguson and all that, I came from that tense environment. So I used to eat like this, eat with my hands, with a fist, and I would be eating like this. When you come from that tense environment, you're just used to all that stress. Like, you see how my shoulders are going up? That's how my body was. So to waking up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, can't go to sleep because my stress levels are too high. So you might want to get that checked out. Anything else, beautiful people? I think I have finished my chore. Dr. Will, you have anything? Are you still there? Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Angela. I appreciate that. You make me smile. Make my heart. It's been a pleasure to be here. Sleep is so essential to everything, and we just treat it like it's a second-class citizen. Yes, definitely let him know that actually turning electronics is stimulating him and you, and interferes with your sleep, and it's really not good for you, especially in the bedroom. It should be removed from the bedroom. It's nothing wrong with putting it in the bathroom. That way, if you do hear the phone, if mama needs you, you still hear the phone, you can get up and go get it. But yes, oh, you're welcome, my dear. Thank you, Stephanie, for being here the whole time. I appreciate that. Yeah, let him know. And men are different. Their symptoms are different, and we'll go over the symptoms in 2 weeks, so you guys can know what's the symptoms of like sleep apnea and other disorders. Because we talked about restless legs, but there's such thing as periodic leg movements. Yes, Angela, what happens? One thing you need to do, I don't know if you do this, sleep naked or sleep with the least amount of clothes on. That helps, especially if you're going through menopause and you have the hot flashes. So just sleep with nothing on, or sleep with the minimum, so you can be okay. Because yeah, the hot flashes come, and we can actually, it actually interrupts our sleep studies. I can actually see when a patient is having a hot flash. Are you on, Angela? Well, we'll talk about it later. I need to get off here. About, are you on any medication for your menopause? Good. Yes. Keep your fans on. Have you had a sleep study, Angela? Because our chances for sleep apnea increase with menopause. Women, I know it's always something with menopause, but our chances of having sleep apnea does increase. And I'll describe the some of the symptoms. And one of the things is, if you're overweight, If your neck as a woman is greater than 16 and as a man is greater than 17, your airway may be too crowded, because that's what happens with sleep apnea. The airway gets crowded. It's either crowded, or your tongue or your uvula back there just, okay. Right. I would go natural anyway. I don't like, I shouldn't say that I've been in medicine for 30 years, but I don't prefer medicine. I actually like the holistic approach first. Okay. Well, just sleep with less clothes on, or no clothes, and be comfortable. Have your fan on. That's awesome. But also get a sleep study. Like I said, with menopause, our chances of sleep do increase. So I want to thank you guys for honoring me with your presence, and many blessings to each and every one of you, and know that you are enough and there is nothing wrong with you. Bye-bye. Godspeed.